Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our PMP exam tech camp for today. I hope you're as eager as I am to get started. I'm going to start off by dunking us straight into the overview, and then I'm going to go over some real world type applications that will help you better understand what exactly happens in this world of cost management. So how many of you guys actually estimate in your jobs and develop budget similar to what the PMI espouses? Anyone do it the way the PMI say, estimate? Greg says he doesn't. And Greg is in logistics, so if Greg doesn't, heaven help us. Willanda says somehow similar. Krishnan, hello, I'm glad you're here. All right, well, let's have a quick overview of cost, and then somewhat similar, gotcha, okay. So let's have a quick overview of cost, and then we will jump into the real world for a little bit, and then we'll go into all the sordid earned value details. All the details of earned value. Okay, so welcome to Cost Tech Camp. By the time we're done, folks, we should have honed in on earned value management especially, and then all the other ITTOs, they can come along for the ride. So this is where we are, taking a look at the map of the world of cost. You can see that we have just four. So we have plan cost management, estimate cost, and determine budget in planning. And then we have control cost in monitoring and controlling. So it's pretty lean and mean, but when it gets to control cost, it seems to just become something entirely different. The first three in this box here are pretty tame. It's when you get into control cost that things start getting a little bit more intense for many people. Not everyone, but a lot of people from my experience. So plan cost management, what are we doing here? We're trying to get our cost management plan out. Estimate cost, we're trying to get our cost estimates out. Determine budget, we're trying to get our cost baseline out. And control cost, we're trying to keep everything normal, and we aim to get our cost forecasts. So let's take a look one more time. Plan cost management. This is where we develop a plan for how to manage cost on the project. Estimate cost. This is where we estimate how much each activity will cost based on the schedule. We need to take the schedule into account. Determine budget. This is where we determine the total budgeted amount for the project. And control costs, this is where we streamline any cost changes. This is where we prevent unauthorized additions to the project budget, wasteful spending, and things such as that. So I just wanted to give you guys a top of the waves view of what exactly is happening here. So if you really think about it, here's an example from a project one of my colleagues put together. You can see it's a Microsoft project schedule. You see that? It's a Microsoft project schedule, and this is also used for cost. You see that? So you can use Microsoft Project for both schedule and cost. It doesn't have to be just schedule alone. A lot of folks like using it for both. If you have experience using it for both, it can certainly help here. All right, Kaden says, oh, you're just given a budget. Oh, okay, that's convenient, good. All right, so as you can see, this is how Microsoft Project is. You can use it to schedule, but going into the world of cost, some people actually use it to compute cost. Now, going a step further, let me show you just one or two of these additional items of interest. So let's take a look at a blank cost estimate sheet. I mean, it differs from firm to firm, but here is a very basic one. Very, very basic, as you can see. Give you a few seconds to take a look at it. In this sheet, my team member became a little bit adventurous and decided to put in a 3-point estimate column for optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic. And you know, we already talked about this yesterday, so you know how the beta and the triangular work. So that is one cost estimate sheet. Here is an example of the actual cost estimates that he did for a fictitious book that I'm working on. And this is the estimate for each of the line items. So you can see each one has, in instances where the direct costs or indirect costs and the reserve, everything is accounted for. And then we've got the estimate. And then at the end of it all, what comes next should be rolling all of these work package estimates up into a final total amount. So that is the budget. The budget is the total amount. So this is the summation. This 1.8 million is the summation of all of the cost estimates. And estimates differ in appearance from company to company. So I know you guys may have seen this in many different forms. Some organizations just use software. Other people use Excel only. So some folks get very fancy with it and spend millions of dollars on these sheets or these fancy spreadsheets on steroids. Like SAP in a company I was in, SAP was used to do it. So, you know, not everyone can afford SAP, so use whatever you've got. All right, and then last but not least, I've got another example of a bottom-up estimate. And in a bottom-up estimate, you know, you're just making it granular, you know, granular, going down to the bottom levels and rolling it up to the top. So that is what he has done here for this supposed work package. So this is an idea of how you would, you know, take all the work packages, break them open into their individual items, and you would roll all of these up into control accounts and what have you. You know, so regardless, whatever they are, the bottom line is if you're doing bottom-up estimating, you can either break open a task into sub-levels, roll that up into the task, roll up all the tasks on that level into the work package. So whatever you're doing, you need to know that there's a difference between aggregating the cost into the final budget versus estimating the granular amounts for each activity, which takes me back to this schedule here, because the idea in estimate cost is to really estimate the cost for every one of these itty bitty items and then roll those up into your final number, whatever that ends up looking like. All right, so this is just to illustrate to you what exactly is happening in the world of cost management. Now, with that said, I have a few fun things to ask you, just a few fun little exercises to get us warmed up here. And I have options on the screen. Now, what I'm going to do is ask you a question, and I would like you to choose an option for the question. So here is the first question. It says, where do the following outputs come from in cost management? In other words, this first one, cost management plan, where's it from? And here's your poll. Just let me know if the cost management plan is an output of A, B, C, or D. So there's your poll. This is very quick. I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Let's go. Thank you very much. And let's end the poll. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We have to end. So here we go. Here are the results. Almost everyone chose option A, plan cost management. And that is the correct answer. The cost management plan is an output of plan cost management. Okay? So just to clarify, I'm going to show you an item and I'm going to ask you where the item is from. From estimate cost, you get something else. Okay? From estimate cost, you do not get the cost management plan, you get something else. All right, let's relaunch. Here is your next one, 20 seconds. This is very quick. Cost baseline, where is that from? Cost baseline. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's end the poll and share the results. It's 20 seconds, folks. We have to be really quick. You've got a ton of stuff to cover tonight. So the answer to this one, as you can probably guess, the cost baseline is from determine budget. Okay? The cost baseline is an output of determine budget. All right, let's go on to our next one. Cost estimates, 20 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the poll, here are the results. Okay, on this one, it seems like everyone chose option B, which is estimate cost, and that is correct. The answer is estimate cost. So to recap, the cost management plan comes from A, the cost baseline comes from B, cost estimate also comes from B. Here is your next one. And the question is basis of estimates. Where is that from? BOEs. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let us end the poll, share the results. The answer to this is, you can probably guess, the basis of estimates comes from estimate cost. Very good job. If you are not as firm as you would like to be on this, don't worry, just keep going through this again and again. So you guys may have gotten the little gift I sent to you yesterday, page 89. Did you all get that little gift I sent you via payloads? Did you all get it? The MP3? That MP3 that I sent you yesterday is for you to practice this stuff and for you to get good with it. All right, I'm glad you got it. If you didn't get it, just let me know. But by the time you get done practicing with that thing, all of these project documents, like the basis of estimates and the cost estimates, you're most welcome. I'm glad you are enjoying it. All that stuff is in there. So the more you play with it, the better it's going to get. All right, my friends, let's go to another one. Let's see what's next. So you have played with the outputs. Let's see, there's a couple more. So let's do number 5 first. So now we're going to do project funding requirements only. Project funding requirements only. Let's see what that tells us. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here are the results. Majority chose C. Project funding requirements are an output of determined budget. Okay, from control cost, we get something else. So by the time you get to control cost, you're trying to control wasteful spending. So you already know your funding requirements by the time you get to control cost. All right, let's relaunch the poll and do the final one, cost forecasts. Where does that come from? All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here are the results. So as you can see, most people chose D, and that is because cost forecasts are forecasts based on current conditions. We use the term forecast in the PMBOK guide to talk about stuff based on what is happening now. So it could be, what is the schedule forecast? It has to be based on the project being in the executing, monitoring, and controlling stages. So when we use the word forecast, we're not talking about planning. If it was a plan or a baseline, we would use the term plan or baseline. For forecast, it means work has started. Okay, so these can be found in the PMBOK guide, figure 6-1. You know, the -1s are the best pages to use as your lunch break. It sounds weird, but that's what I used to do. Page 174, all of those boxes, you got to know what is coming out and you got to be able to see what is unique. So if we can go to page 174, and if we do a quick review, you see the cost management plan comes from plan cost management, cost baseline comes from determined budget, cost estimates and basis of estimates comes from estimate cost. Project funding requirements is an output of determined budget. Oh, I'm sorry, we're looking at the wrong page. It obviously shows you that I was not reading the PMBOK guide because I know this stuff from memory. All right, page 232. Yep, sometimes I don't read the PMBOK guide because I know it quite well. All right, let's go again, page 232. Sorry about that. So if you take a look at page 232, you can see that the cost management plan comes from plan cost management. Cost baseline comes from determined budget. Cost estimates and BOE's, basis of estimates, comes from estimate cost. Project funding requirements comes from determined budget, and cost forecast comes from control cost. Great. But wait, there is more that we need to settle. There is a score we have to settle. So let's close our book and we're going to do one more quick drill. This time we're going to shorten the answering period to 15 seconds, okay? And it's going to be slightly different. Are you ready? Let's go. Where are the following tools and techniques used in cost management? So if it is A, B, C, or D, choose it in the poll. Here we go. The first one, earned value analysis. Where do we use that? 15 seconds. Three, two, and one. Here are the results. Majority of folks chose control cost. That is because earned value analysis is used in control cost under data analysis. So the parent tool and technique is data analysis, and inside that, you see earned value analysis. Well done. Let's go to our next one. 15 seconds. Tell me, where do we use funding limit reconciliation? Five, four, three, two, and one. And here are the results. Funding limit reconciliation is used in reconciling what you thought the budget should be with what the company's funding limits really are. So it means you have not left the gate of planning. So it is not control cost, and it's not estimate cost, because estimate cost does not address the funding limits. The answer is C, determine budget. Funding limit reconciliation is used to take a look at any funding limits in the firm and take a look at what you said was a funding requirement. For example, if I say, oh, I need 5 million on month one and 5 million on month two, management could say, Phil, we have a funding limit. We cannot supply you any more money than 3 million. So we've got a funding limit of 3 million. You said you need to spend 5 million in month one. Guess what? You're going to have to spread out whatever those cost expenditures are. So if it's cost of a resource, like a machine, you might have to buy that on a different month, maybe in advance. Or if it is human resource costs, you're going to have to spread that out, elongate the schedule, or move them to some months where there's not that much expenditure. But the funding limit reconciliation is a tool and technique of determined budget. Okay? Well done. I am glad we are learning something. Here is your next one. The next tool and technique is analogous estimating. Three, two, and one. And let's end the poll, share the results. So analogous estimating, the word estimating gives it away. Everyone got this one right? Everyone who voted? The answer is indeed B, estimate cost. So well done. All right, here is the next poll. And the next thing we have is parametric estimating. Three, two, and one. Let's end the poll, share the results. And it seems like everyone who voted got this one right as well. It is estimate costs again. Let's relaunch. Let's go for our next round. Bottom up estimating. Bottom up. Three, two, and one. Let's end the poll. Everyone aced it again. Well done, my friends. You're doing very well on these estimating ones. Relaunch the poll. And next we have 3-point estimating. And 3, 2, and 1. End the poll. Here are the results. And everyone who voted got this one right. Indeed, it is estimate cost. So here's the deal. Items 3 through 6, they are all estimate cost. Here's your cost aggregation. All right, thank you for voting. And everyone chose option C. That is because it is option C. Very well done, my friends. Let us go to our next one. We are almost done with this drill, and you guys are doing great. Next, we have historical information review. Historical information review. And 3, 2, and 1. End the poll. Gonna end it. Here are the results. All right, majority chose C, and that is because it is really determined budget. In determined budget, you want to look back at that historical information and you want to understand what happened in the past, taking a look at what we're saying will happen now. Does this make sense? Is it realistic? Is this a sensible budget or not? All right, let's see what else we've got. Next one, financing. That is a fun one. Okay, 3, 2, and 1. I think my computer is crashing. And I don't mean like in schedule management. I mean, it's struggling to keep up with you guys. Let's end the poll, share the results. And you guys all got it right. Fantastic. It is indeed determined budget. So that tells me that these tools and techniques, you guys are pretty familiar with. That is very, very good. So this actually shortens our work for tonight. But wait, there is one more. The final one is going to be TCPI. Let's do it. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. Here are the results. Everyone aced it. Very, very well done. So you guys know the drill. You know, what I typically do at this point is jump into stuff that I want you guys to play with. And I usually give you some time to explore your PMBOK guide. So that page 232, if you want to take a look at page 232, that's cool. Or if you want to take a look at the screen right here, that's also cool. But do you have any questions about any of the tools, techniques, inputs, or outputs before I ask you the questions? Because I got quite a boatload of exploratory questions to ask you. So it might be good for you to ask me before I ask you. What would you like me to discuss? Earned value is already definitely off the table because people have already lamented about earned value. So that is a staple. That goes without saying. Is there anything else other than earned value and TCPI and forecasting that you would like me to address? Or is it clear? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Well, I'm glad you guys are in a good state. So I'll let you take a look at your book for 2 minutes. And at the end of 2 minutes, we're going to be into some other fun questions. 2 minutes to review. All right. I hope you're rounding it up now. Questions await thee. All right. Well, let's get rock and rolling. Here is your first fun question with a lot more detail than what we first looked at. Okay, I am relaunching the poll and I'm going to give you a minute, 12 seconds. Here we go. Three, two, and one. Let us end the poll. Here are the results. Everyone aced it. Well done. Indeed, this is a rough order of magnitude estimate. You guys already know that, so let us keep going. Very, very good. Here's our next one. Similar setup. And I am going to give you 1 minute, 12 seconds. There we go. All right, my friends. 5, 4, 2, 1. Here we go. And here are the results. And the answer to this one is indeed a definitive estimate. Definitive estimates are also talked about in the PMBOK guide. So the page where this stuff is, my friends, this is the language that is used on the page. And I'll just read quick. It says, the accuracy of a project estimate will increase as the project progresses through the project lifecycle. Can someone please type in the page this is on? It says, for example, a project in the initiation phase may have a rough order of magnitude estimate in the range of -25 to +75%. Later in the project, as more information is known, definitive estimates could narrow the range of accuracy to -5 to +10%. In some organizations, there are guidelines for when such refinements can be made and the degree of confidence or accuracy that is expected. All right, so this is in the guide. Thank you very much, Maribel, for typing in page 241. Thank you, Yolanda. Awesome. So it is helpful to know, where in the book these are. Okay, well done, my friends. Let's go on to yet another question in my series for tonight. And I'm going to give you 1 minute, 12 seconds to be fair. All right, my friends, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, this will be a good one for us to learn a few things from. So before I share the results, let's read it. It says, you are comparing the work performed. Anytime you hear work performed, you know immediately these guys are talking about EVM. So anytime you hear work performed, or you hear work completed, or you hear percent complete, you know that earned value is somewhere in the horizon, okay? Because if you multiply percent complete by the planned value or by the budget at completion, depending on the context, you will get earned value. So when someone says, oh, my percent complete, I've completed 55% of the work. Okay, how much was the work? The work is 1,000. Oh, so I've completed $550 worth of work. My earned value is $550. You see, so that is the mindset you need to be on. Whenever you hear percent complete or work performed or work completed, you know that this is a setup for earned value. So it says you are comparing the work performed by the team. Well, that's earned value to the actual cost. Oh, so I'm comparing earned value to actual cost. So earned value and actual cost. Okay. And it says you are comparing the work performed by the team to the actual cost paid to perform that work by dividing one by another. Now, it doesn't say you're dividing EV by AC or AC by EV, but those are the only two things in the equation. And the only formula here that contains both is not VAC, because what does VAC contain? Someone type in the formula for VAC. If you know the formula for VAC, please type it in. What is the variance at completion formula? Thank you, Katie, and that's correct. It is indeed. No, almost. There we go. Thank you, Jan. B comes before E in the alphabet. Just remember, to be or not to be, BE. So VAC, see, it's good that we're learning some good stuff. BAC minus EAC, all right, that's VAC. So it cannot be VAC. The next one here is TCPI. TCPI, even though it has EV and AC somewhere in the formula, the TCPI is BAC minus EV divided by BAC minus AC if you're talking about TCPI based on the BAC. But if your TCPI is based on the EAC, you know it's something different. We have TCPI equals the BAC minus EV at the top. That remains the same, but the bottom is going to be the EAC minus AC. These formulas need to be at your fingertips, my friends, at your fingertips. Take no prisoners. If you haven't internalized these formulas, I want you to spend some time working out some system to get them into your head. You know, like what we did back in the day in high school, how you would just spend days and days on end trying to get this thing into your head. We need to do that. Tonight, I will show you how to understand them, but the next level is to internalize it. All right, next we have the SPI. The formula for SPI is EV divided by PV. So the only one that has these two variables that I called out, the EV and the AC, the only one is option A, all right? So the answer to that is A. And for those of you who got it right, just understand when I go off on a long tangent explaining it, because everyone needs to understand why it is what it is. So please bear with me. I know lots of you already know this stuff and it might be very elementary, but it's important that I get everyone on board with why the answer is what it is. All right, so that is the first one. Well done. Let us move on to our next question. So let's clear the board. Here is how the results panned out. So you can see why I spent time. Even if one person does not get the answer, it gives me enough reason to spend some time explaining it. All right, so please bear with me. All right. Thank you for your understanding. Here is the next one. Oh, so here's the explanation. Earned value is the budgeted cost of work performed. So anytime you hear work performed, earned value, or anytime you hear cost or actual cost, you know that they're talking about actual cost, AC. All right, let's relaunch the poll. And here is another fun one for you. And this says you are comparing the work scheduled to be completed in month 1 against the percentage of work completed in month 1. All right, interesting. 1 minute. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Bear in mind, I have no idea who is voting on what. So, you know, this is a very good forum for you to get used to just saying, whatever the consequence, I'm just going to hit anything, you know. I mean, if it gets to the point where you feel, I don't know what it is, begin to practice the art of saying, it doesn't hurt to guess. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt to guess. We have to get to that on the exam front. Okay, very well done. Here are the results. And majority of the folks chose B. And let's see, it says you are comparing the work scheduled. This is a learning point. So anytime you hear the term work scheduled, not work performed, work scheduled, this is a pointer to the planned value. Planned value, you guys know I kind of go on and on about the 4-letter acronyms, but I don't want to go too deep into that tonight because I don't want to lose you guys. That will be a different topic. But work scheduled is planned value. In other words, I am planning to get this value. Doesn't mean you are going to get it, but a plan to get the value is really what work scheduled means. All right. So I am scheduling $10 million worth of work for tomorrow. That's my planned value. Now, work performed is different. Work performed is earned value. You see? And then if you say percentage of work completed, like I told you in the first question, that's a signal about earned value. Like where you hear percent complete, we're talking about the value that has been earned in percentage terms, you see? So you need to be able to decode these words. Work scheduled, oh, that's planned value. Work performed, that's earned value, you see? So the last one, money spent, that's your actual cost. You see, that's the language associated, you know, with this. So if we take a look at these, we have PV and EV in the question. So which of these formulas contains both? It is not VAC. We already know that. We took a look at these. VAC is BAC minus EAC. TCPI, we know it's not that one. And it's not CPI because that one contains EV and AC as we saw from the first problem. So the answer, my friends, is SPI. So that is why a lot of folks chose SPI. That is the correct answer. All right. Here we go. Let us clear the question and go to the next. So it gets a little bit trickier somewhat. 1 minute, 12 seconds. All right, 5, 4, 4, 3, 2, 2. Come on, guys. Let's practice the art of guessing. When in doubt, what's your gut telling you? Go with it. You got to get into the I don't care, because if I do care, I'm not going to choose. And I stand a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right. So let's just do it. Good job, folks. All right. And the poll, very, very polarized results. And that's good. It's a learning opportunity. Okay. So a question that didn't turn out as you want is an opportunity. It's an opportunity. So you're dividing the actual cost, AC, which is quite straightforward. AC. We're dividing AC by the budgeted cost of work performed, which is code for earned value. So it means you're dividing AC by EV. That's really what this means. For those of you who were not aware, there is a term, burn rate. So if you haven't heard of the burn rate, I would like to introduce you to the burn rate. The burn rate is the inverse of CPI. So in some instances, you'll see some people referring to the burn rate as 1 divided by CPI. It is very popular in, let's say, PMP space as far as the mock exams in this world are concerned. There's been a lot of buzz over the past number of years, and it hasn't gone away. So burn rate is AC divided by EV. There's no way you would have known it if you hadn't heard it before. So you might want to write it down. Burn rate is the actual cost divided by earned value. It shows your rate of burn. Okay. So when you think about what it is the money spent divided by the work done. So let's convert this into some real numbers to really think about this. If you have spent $25 million, but you have only achieved $5 million worth of work, what does that tell you? You are burning through your money 5 times quicker than you said you would. But if we reverse it and we say the actual cost is 5 million and the work done is 25 million, then we have a 1 over what? 1 over 5. In other words, we are burning through our money a lot less than we thought we would. A whole 80% less, which is questionable, but management would rather see this than this. So the lower your burn rate, the better. The higher your burn rate, you're just hemorrhaging money, which isn't good. We don't want a burn rate to be any more than 1. If it's greater than 1, we have a problem. So it's kind of like the reverse. All right. So the answer to that one, my friends, it's a good learning opportunity. The answer to that is A. All right. So you guys have had quite a number of quizzes and so on. Let us go into some content to unravel some of those earned value management type puzzles. So I am going to use an example, and I'm going to go very, very, very slow on this one. Okay. So let's read it. Let's spend some time reading it on our own. Okay. Here it is. I'll give you a couple of minutes to read it and let the information sink in. Oh yeah, absolutely. So anything I show you, you know it can be fair game on the exam. Absolutely, Willanda. Yeah, you might want to, keep it in your back pocket. All right. So I'll give you 2 minutes to read it. For those of you eager beavers who want to begin solving it, that's fine. But we're going to go over it together very, very slowly. Very slowly. So take a look at it first. All right. Well, let's take a look at our problem. Let's round up in the next minute. All right. Well, I think it's a good time for us to begin to address the question bit by bit. So while I will be walking you through, I do want to give you some opportunity to pitch in as far as the answers are concerned. Okay. So let's read it together. You were promoted to be director of your construction PMO. You promised CEO and management, based on your cost baseline, that you would install 10 servers to manage computer-aided design, CAD, efforts, $10,000 each. So you're going to install 10 servers, and each one is going to be $10,000. And you're going to get this done in 10 days. So what I would do in a question like this is begin to write down the facts. I'll say, okay, 10 servers times $10,000 is going to give me $100,000. And I'll keep reading. And if I see anything else, I would add it. But there's nothing else. So it seems like this $100,000 is our what? What do we call this $100,000? Can someone chat into us? Tell us what that is. Thank you, Jan. That is the BAC, the budget. Thank you, Yolanda. Awesome. It is the budget at completion. Very, very good. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone why that is the budget at completion? Okay. So that answers question A. See, what is the BAC? The budget at completion is your total amount that you're going to spend on the project, excluding management reserves. Those are not included in the budget. So whatever you get in a question like this, that final total, see, we understand that as the BAC. All right. So what is the BAC? 100K. Okay. Then it goes further to say, at the end of day 5, what is a bunch of things? So I need to go back to my cost baseline, and I need to understand how the baseline is meant to be spread out. You see, for every question that involves BAC, you want to ask, okay, how should it be spread out? So there are 10 days. 10 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it says the rate of 1 server per day. So what this question is telling me is that every day we should install 1 server. Okay. The red squares are the server. Think of it like that. Okay. So at the end of day 5, you want to ask yourself, okay, at the end of day 5, how many should I have installed? If you promised management that you were going to do 1 a day, at the end of day 5, how many should you have done? Thank you. So Willanda says, we should have done 5 and we should have spent 50K. So the numbers that Willanda has typed in, 5 is the number of servers, and the 50K, my friends, what would that 50K be to you at the end of day 5? What would it be? Willanda chatted in, it should be our PV, and Kadian said it should be our EV. Should be, but we don't know if it is. Why? Because this is a projection. What we're drawing out here is a projection of what we want to happen. You see, what we're drawing out here, this is a hope. We hope that this is going to go like this, but we don't really know if it is. You see, Plan value is a hope. It's a plan. That's why it's called plan value. You're planning out how it's meant to look. But earned value is reality. EV is reality. So this is not reality. This is our plan, you see. So what I'm drawing out and saying, the 50K by this day, when all is said and done, our hope is to get 5 servers installed. That's our plan. It's our hope. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So our hope is for 50K worth of work to be done by the time we get to day 5. But we don't know if that's the case just yet. Let's take a look and see, okay? So I'm just gonna write down here, plan value should be equal to 50K at day 5. Please chat into me if this makes sense, because this is a very important concept. And this is where people could get lost. Make sense, Jason? Very good. Anyone got any questions about this? It's very important you understand it, because beyond here, more variables are going to be introduced. All right. So the plan is to get 5 done. That's why it's the planned value. Now let's keep reading. It says, at the end of 5 days, you have installed 3 servers. Oh, so taking a look at what it says, I should be at the red mark, but it seems like I am really here in terms of accomplishments. I should have done 5, but I've only done 3. Aha. What is earned value? Earned value is what we performed. You see the logic here? Earned value is what we performed. Planned value is what we planned. So we planned 50K, but in reality, we've only got 3 done. What are those 3 worth? Needs to be your next question. Oh, I only got 3 done. How much is that really worth? What I performed, what is it really worth? That needs to be a question. So Wilanda says the earned value should be 30. So the 30 that we're talking about is earned value. That is correct. What we have here, this 30K, in terms of what we performed, this is earned value. So we can deduce that on day 5, the planned value should, or is, I should say, is 50K, and the earned value, the amount that we've earned because we've only done 3, it's really 10K for each server times 3. And that's how we got the 30K. Does that make sense? Or should I review that again? Does it make sense? Okay. All right. I just don't want to lose anyone. Very good. Okay. So we all get the concept. If you don't, please stop me. You know, this is why you're here. So just stop me. Okay. So we've got some useful information. We can see we've got items of interest that can help us solve the problem. So we know our planned value at the end of day 5. The key thing is at the end of day 5. At the end of day 2, it's something else. At the end of day 9, it's something else. But at the end of day 5, planned value is 50K and earned value is 30K. Great. So armed with that information, let's continue. It says, at the end of 5 days, you have spent 40K. I see. That's why Wilanda said that is an actual cost. That 40K is your actual cost. See that? So, my friends, armed with that information, I expect you to be able to give me in chat SPI, CPI, CV, and SV. Does that make sense? You guys should be able to do A, B, C, and D. So let me see what you guys are chatting in. Thank you. Oh, Wilanda had that ready. See how she fired that off really quick. Okay, very good. We will compare notes in the next couple of minutes. Let me give everyone a chance to catch up. The next couple of minutes, we'll compare notes. What y'all doing? That's not correct. The answer is 0.5. Hey, Pimpy, get away from there, you terrible little imp. How did you climb up here? I apologize for his strange, outlandish behavior. Every now and again, he's able to leap onto my desk, and that's what happens. I really apologize. Let's ignore him. He's one of these attention-seeking types, so let's focus on the work at hand. Thank you very much for chatting in. I appreciate those answers. It looks like we pretty much nailed all those down. So let me show you what I have and we can compare notes. All right, so let me clear all that I've got on the screen, or at least most of it. So we already know what the BAC is. And I'll just leave some of those items that you guys had there. And let me go to the next page. It's going to be a little bit messy, but you'll be able to figure out. Okay, so we got 0.75, as you can see, for the CPI. So everybody got A, very good. B, a lot of folks typed in points. SPI is 0.6, that's correct. So B is 0.6. C, the CV is -10, very good. And D is -20. Very, very good. Okay. So you guys have solved A, B, C, and D. Now, this is what we're going to do just to make sure everybody, we need to get, Jan says we need to get him a sidekick. Okay, we will. we need to be careful now. We don't want any Me Too incidences with Pimpy, you know, don't really trust him that much to. But anyway, let's backtrack. Let's go to the previous page. So, my friends, let's take a look at E. Does everyone understand how we got these numbers for SPI, CPI, CV, and SV? Yeah, makes sense? Okay. So let's advance to the next problem. The next problem is what we really need to hone in on, because this is where it gets into EAC territory. So we know our AC, just keep those numbers handy. Okay, AC is 40, PV is 50, EV is 30. All right. And you've got the SPI, you're going to need it. The CPI, you're going to need that as well. All right. So it says in option E, based on your current performance, what is EAC if your cost performance continues like this? So there are 4 EAC formulas, okay? I have to explain these to you. I'm going to take just a few moments to explain them, okay? So let me show these to you very quick. Get out of my way. You nasty little piece of work. Go. All right, so let's take a look at these 4 EAC formulas. This is where it gets a little bit intense, so we have to slow it down. I'm going to stop sharing this. And I am going to show you these formulas. Okay, there are 4 EAC formulas. And one by one, from the easiest or the most easy to remember, should I say, to the most difficult. All right, the very first EAC formula is EAC is equal to AC plus ETC. Now, let me explain this. This one that you're seeing here, this is EAC based on a brand new bottom-up ETC. This is a brand new bottom-up ETC, okay? So this first formula is used when your budget is so flawed that you cannot use it for any good estimating or recalculations. I mean, it's just throw away your BAC and come up with a brand new bottom-up ETC. So the AC is your actual cost, how much you've spent to date. The ETC is how much more money you need to finish the remaining work. So if you spent $100 and you need $200 more to finish what's left, the EAC is going to be $300. So that's when we use this. But again, the ETC is done by estimating down at the granular levels, okay? We only use this formula when our budget is so skewed that we cannot get anything sensible out of it. So Tell me if what I'm telling you guys makes sense. Does that make sense to you when we say we need to use this formula if our budget is so skewed that nothing is redeemable from it? Does that make sense? I'm going to show you all 4 formulas and then I'm going to let you make up your mind, okay? So we've got this first one, EAC equals to AC plus ETC. We use this when our budget is fundamentally flawed. The language, you might want to write this down. The language that people typically use is fundamentally flawed. You know, when your budget is fundamentally flawed, then just go for a brand new bottom-up ETC, okay? So that is the very first one. Any questions about that one? All right, if there are no questions about that one, we are going to the second one that looks a little bit like it. A little bit like it. So I'm stacking them in an order that you guys may be able to remember. All right, so the first one was AC plus ETC. This second one is used when our budget still makes some sense. This is when we can say, okay, we're not going to entirely discard the budget. It still can be used. So this is EAC equals to the actual cost plus the budget at completion minus the earned value. Think about it. The budget at completion minus the work done will show you the work left if the budget still makes sense. So we only use this when the budget still makes sense. So this is based on the remaining work completed at the budgeted rate. You see that? EAC based on the work remaining completed at the budgeted rate. That means the budget still makes sense. Let's not throw away the budget. Let's still use some of the budget to calculate the ETC. So in other words, the BAC minus EV, it tells us the ETC based on the budget, the original budget. See? Does that make sense, this formula? Because think about it. This is how much you've spent plus the remaining needed to complete the project. This is the remaining needed to complete the project. All right? Have you got any questions about that one? Or does it make sense? Let me know if you've got any questions about that one. If you know when to use the formula, it will be a lot easier. Make sense? Okay, thank you for the assurance. Let's go to the next one, and I'm just stacking them up in a way you can remember them. This next one, a lot of people say, oh, it's kind of hard, but it's not hard. If you remember what I showed you just now, I showed you just the top, EAC equals AC plus the top, but now we've got a bottom component for this piece. That's all. It's the formula I showed you before, but now we're going to divide by SPI cumulative. The C is cumulative times CPI cumulative. So if you can get this first formula that I showed you, just introduce CPI times SPI on the right-hand side. And it's not as bad as it looks, you see? So when do we use this? We use this formula when both the SPI and the CPI have some weight in our final outcome. So it's referred to as the EAC based on the current cumulative CPI and SPI. All right? So my suggestion to you is to build it up gradually. You got to start small and finish big. If you look at this formula and you feel, oh, I can't memorize it. Yeah, because you're not starting from the easiest. Start from this, okay? EAC equals AC plus ETC. Then build from here. So this first one, you got to know, oh, I use this when my budget is fundamentally flawed. I get a brand new bottom-up ETC, I add it to my actual cost, boom, I get my EAC. The next formula that you want to be thinking about when you have mastered that one is this next one, which I have already shown you. But it is used when your budget still holds some truth, okay? When you still have face in the company. Oh yeah, that was a one-off. This budget is still solid, you know. So AC plus BAC minus EV, okay? Then you're gonna build on it again and introduce this one that looks a bit scary if you haven't mastered the top piece. But if you master the top piece, boom, easy. I'm just gonna multiply by CPI times SPI because they're both relevant. End of story, okay? Now I left the easiest to last. The easiest one is when you base your EAC on the current cumulative CPI. So this is saying, this is my budget. If I factor in how well I'm performing or how awfully I am performing cost-wise, this is the outcome. So here you're saying, okay, my EAC, for example, you're saying, okay, my EAC is 50. My cost performance right now is, what? Oh, my BAC, I beg your pardon. My BAC is 50. My cost performance right now is 1. So my EAC is going to be 50. But if your CPI is 0.5, your EAC is going to be double. It's going to be 100, which makes sense. So always think about these things in, you know, common sense terms. If my EAC, BAC is 50 and my CPI is 0.5, that means I'm only doing half as good cost-wise. So I'm obviously going to have to do double the budget. So that means my EAC, by the time I'm done, I would have spent double the budget. You see, that's how you need to convert this stuff into real world ideas. And when you do that, it will become a lot easier. Okay. And that is back to our question on EAC. So with all that I showed you, my friends, I would like you to attempt E and Roman numeral 1. If your cost performance continues like this, based on your current performance, what is EAC if your cost performance continues like this? So if you want to know where to get these, you need to go to page, I believe it's 267 in the PMBOK guide. And page 267 in the PMBOK guide has all of the formulas documented. So just open to that page and it will be very clear which formula it is. And then when you've played with a formula, I would like you to give me the answer to Roman numeral 1. And I would like you to also attempt Roman numeral 2. And also Roman numeral 3. And also Roman numeral 4. But I don't want you to go into the TCPI just yet because we need to talk about it a little bit. So you can forget about this one for now. Okay, forget about this one for now. We're going to come back to that. But just try Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to give you guys, let me give you guys 5 minutes. So for those of you who are done, if you want to like take a quick bio break for a couple of minutes, do that. But for everyone else who has not done Roman numerals 1 to 4, play with them right now and let's see what you come up with, okay? And if you're stuck, we will uncover whatever is making you stuck when we come back. All right? So I will give you 5 minutes. And at the end of 5 minutes, we'll see what you came up with. All right, my friend, we've got a couple more minutes. Let's apply ourselves. All right, I'm expecting some more answers. Why am I only getting 3 answers? Come on now. Come on now, my friends. Where's everyone? Did everyone go for a break? Come on now. Okay. Okay, well, let's take a look at what we've got. I guess everyone's gone on a break. I really wanted you to apply yourselves for these questions just so you're able to find your gaps, because if you don't try them, you won't know where your gaps are, you see. You got to know where your gaps are. And the only way to do that is to apply yourself. See? All right, well, let's take a look at the answer. It seems like there are no takers for a lot of the class. A lot of the folks don't want to do nothing. You know, I'm going to give you grief. Is it that we're not too sure? Or what? Because I mean, I could show you answers all day, but if you don't find out your gaps, I don't think there's a lot of use in that. All right, I see some chats coming in. Let's see what's going on here. Do we have some answers now? You're funny. All right, let's thank you, Donna. Thank you, Krishnan and Jason. You're hilarious. Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda, for your chat. Let's address it. Let's do it together. Okay, we're gonna do it together, and we're gonna go in baby steps. Okay, it's my bad. And the next meeting, what I'm gonna try to do is activate it such that nobody will be able to see what you send me. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do for the next meeting. So I totally understand. No worries. Oh, well, some people, they are very particular. They don't want anyone to see what they chatted in, or they don't want people to see their correct answers. All right. So going back to where we were, let's tackle them one by one. All right. So which formula should we use? It says based on your current performance. What is the EAC? Which formula should we use? Based on your current performance, what is the EAC? Thank you, Willanda. It is that one behind me. BAC divided by CPI. Let me move out of the way. That one right here, okay? That's the one we're going to use. EAC equals BAC divided by CPI. Bear in mind that it is your CPI from inception to date, which is what we found. So if we apply that, our CPI, which we already knew from the first problem, and you guys could have actually used what your colleagues put in the chat if you were in doubt. But if you go up to where the answers were chatted in, the CPI was, what was it? Point what? What was the CPI? So we know the budget was 100K. It was 0.75. Very good. So let me advance to a clear slate here so you guys can follow. Let's get, oops, not that. Hang on. Okay. So let's get to a clear slate. So let me just take some of these numbers and show you we would have used the formula EAC equals BAC divided by CPI. And this is for E. And that would have been 100K divided by 0.75. And if I use my calculator, you got to get used to using your calculator, you know. Okay. So if we use our calculator, what do you guys get? 100K divided by 0.75, 75K, is it? 100 divided by 0.75. That gives you 133.33K dollars, of course. So your estimate at completion based on, if we can go to the actual place the question is, let me go to that actual slide. Oops, excuse me. Nope. 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 Okay. So yes, it says, based on your current performance, what is EAC? So the answer to this one, E here, is going to be equal to 133.33K dollars. Does that make sense for you? Does it make sense? Or are there questions? Okay. Willanda says it makes sense. You got, did you divide, did you think it was 75K? Did you multiply instead of divide? Okay, some of you got it right. Good. If you just follow the formula, you get it right. Ah, you gotta get used to the calculator. Yeah, it happens to even the best of us, I tell you. I cannot count how many times I've totally botched questions. I know the questions, but I just absolutely goof with the formulas. It has happened to me so many times. It's not even funny. Okay. So let us go back to our little problem here. Now let me try to put some stuff away. Let me see if this will work now. Okay. Bear with me. I want it to be crystal clear what we're doing. So Let's try this again. There we go. Okay. So we're done with E, E1. Okay. We're leaving out the TCPI dialog for now. So if your cost performance continues like that, EAC equals BAC divided by CPI. And we know that that is going to be equal to 100 divided by 0.75. And that gave us 133.33K. Don't forget the dollar sign. All right. Second one, if your cost performance is a one-off and your original budget remains intact. If your original budget remains intact, what formula would you use? Number two. Which formula did you guys use? So let me give you a reminder. So a one-off means it's not going to happen again. It's a language used in, I guess, in American corporate quite a lot. Oh, that's a one-off. It means it's not going to happen. Or we could say is atypical. This is another word that is used. Atypical means not typical. So if your budget went off for 1 month or 2 months, you could say, oh no, this is not going to happen for the rest of the project. It is a one-off. Or you could say it's atypical. Atypical. This language is used quite a lot. So for A, and I'm glad you brought that up, Donna, because let me actually put this in red. The language is very important when you're solving these problems. So the language for A, for one, the first one we did is if cost performance continues like this, meaning cost performance is typical. That's the language used. Typical. Now for number two, the language used would say atypical. This is very important for these problems, especially in EAC. Because the question could say, what is EAC if cost performance is atypical? Okay, good. Oh, you're familiar with that. Very good. Yeah, I guess one-off is an Americanism that PMI may not use. So if PMI got a lot of questioning about that, they probably wouldn't use that. All right. So if your cost performance is atypical, which formula did you guys use? Atypical. Atypical. Yes, Willanda, that is correct. So Willanda's formula, we would say EAC equals AC plus BAC minus EV. That would be the formula to use for atypical. For typical, use BAC divided by CPI. For atypical, use this one. All right. And just to clarify, I'm going to throw it up behind me so you guys know the exact one I'm talking about. So the exact one is for atypical is this. Okay. So getting out of the way so you guys can see it. Oh, let me actually go full screen just to make sure you get it. This is atypical, meaning it's a one-off. You see that? This is atypical. All right. So using that one, we're going to end up solving number two now. So anytime I share, the previous stuff goes away. But let's focus on number two again. So we say EAC equals AC plus BAC minus EV And that equals the actual cost, which is, what is our actual cost? 40K, thank you. So we say 40K plus the 100K minus the earned value, which is, what was the earned value? We got 3 done, right? It was not very good. 30K, good. Remember, this is all in dollars. And this is plus, of course, plus. Okay. So just to make sure everyone got it, let me write it out properly. Don't want anyone getting muddled up. So this is 40K plus, all right? So this becomes 40K plus 70K. Okay, and that equals 110K. Good. Did anyone get that for the answer? 110K. If you got that, very well done. Awesome. Awesome. It means it's sticking. Very good. All right. Let's go on to the next one. I apologize if I'm not quick enough for some of you. Number 3, if both your cost and schedule performance continues like this, the one that you would use is the one divided by SPI cumulative times CPI cumulative. So let me move out of the way and show you what that would look like. So we would be looking at this formula, okay, which is pretty much the one we looked at before, divided by SPI times CPI. Okay. Let's go back and solve it. So we would use the formula EAC is equal to exactly the same as the first one. But remember, we got the big old brackets, BAC minus EV divided by SPI cumulative. I like putting the C to remind me it's cumulative. That is important. Okay. So again, we had actual cost has been, I believe it was 50K. Was it 50K? No. It was 40K. I beg your pardon. 40K, right? Plus 100K minus 30K divided by 0.75 times, what was it? What was the SPI times CPI? .75 times 0.6. Thank you. 0.6 times 0.75. And that at the end of the day would give you a final number of would be 100 and what? So it would be 40K plus 70K divided by 0.45. So that would be 40K plus, we're going to get 40K, oops, excuse me. We're going to get 40K plus 155.55. Very good. You got it right. And that would give us K, of course. That would give us 195.55K. That is correct, Donna. That would be the answer. That is the answer. Okay. So 195.55K. All right. Great. Let's do the final one, because at this rate, I'm not getting enough traction. So I'm a bit concerned that some folks may be lost. Do you have any questions about the formulas? Because if you get the formula, you're good. The maths, you can always work out on your own by watching this video after the fact. Yeah, okay, let's do the final one. Final one says, if your original estimate is flawed and you run a new bottom-up ETC of 95K, well, that one, you already know what we're going to use for it. So let me go ahead and give you a reminder of the formula that's going to be used. The formula is going to be this one. Your brand new bottom-up ETC. This one right here. So let me move out of the way. Quick reminder. This is the formula we're now going to use, okay? EAC equals AC plus ETC. AC, you already know. ETC, you've been given. And we're just going to plug and play. So we're going to have 95 as our ETC. And our AC is 40. So we're going to have EAC is equal to 40K plus the 95K. And that gave you what? 135K? Is that what you got? Very good. That is the answer. All right. So that was an example of every single part of earned value. And I chose this example because I wanted us to go through one continuous flow so that you truly get SPI, CPI, CVSV, EAC1, EAC2, EAC3, EAC4, and of course the TCPIs. So let's work a little bit on the TCPI. So Willanda says the at budgeted rate is also yes. Atypical means it's not going to keep happening, so we can use our budget. Okay? Atypical means it's not going to continue happening, so we can use our budget. Typical would mean the cost performance is going to just continue like that. So that's the language that we use. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So let me make you a quick table here. I think this is going to help, because earned value is pretty much what a lot of people find difficulty with. So for that reason, let me share an idea with you here. You might find this useful. All right, let me share a whiteboard. There we go. And let's just make a quick table. Okay. So if I were you, what I would do is think of these in this fashion. Let's go to our first one. Oh, I'm using the wrong tools. I've been using the wrong tools. That's hilarious. Okay. Bear with me. Okay, let me go to the right tools. There we go. Okay. Oops. Okay. It shouldn't take too long, but it's going to keep you straight as far as these formulas are concerned. Got to keep them straight. So I would like you guys to do something like this on your blank sheet of paper. We're going to just categorize these pesky little EACs once and for all and know what is what. So for this first one, this one that we call EAC equals AC plus ETC. This one, you're just going to say budget is flawed. If you've got enough space, you could say fundamentally flawed. If you've got enough room, just say fundamentally flawed. The budget is flawed. In other words, fundamentally flawed. That means this budget is so out of whack that we can't use it for anything. So out of whack this budget is. It's the kind of budget that could get a project manager into trouble in a firm, you know, because the budget is so far off. You said we would need 90K and now you're telling us we need 1 million type of thing. So because the budget is so fundamentally flawed, we need to calculate a brand new ETC, okay? So that's the first one. The language is what I'm after, this language, just call it language. So the question could say, what is the ETC assuming, what is the EAC assuming the budget is fundamentally flawed and you have a brand new bottom-up ETC of this? Or sometimes they will ask you to calculate the brand new bottom-up ETC on your own by giving you resource cost, human resource cost, physical resource cost, so on. All right, the next one is EAC equals AC plus BAC minus EV. This one, we use this when we have an atypical variance, or you could say variances. You use this one for atypical variances, which means it's a one-off. My budget is still okay for the remaining work, okay? Another language that could be used here is budget is still intact. Or you might hear the word one-off, which means it's only a one-time thing. So these are little tips for questions that you may encounter. All right, the next one is EAC equals BAC divided by CPI. And this one is for typical cost variances. So really, this is cost. You already knew that. So typical cost variances. Okay. Or you could say CPI expected. You could call it CPI cumulative. My writing is becoming a little bit unbearable here. Let me see if I can get a smaller nib. CPI cumulative. Ooh, that's tough. Cumulative. Okay, CPI cumulative expected to continue. Oh, this is a really bad pen. Okay, CPI expected to continue. Cumulative CPI expected to continue. Okay, it's very important that whenever you see the CPI, just remember that it's cumulative, meaning it's from inception to date. It's from inception to date. All right. And then last but not least, you got EAC equals AC plus BAC minus EV divided by SPI times CPI, but don't forget it's cumulative, okay? Cumulative, that is so important. And always remember to put these in their little brackets. So the language for this will be typical cost and schedule. Typical cost and schedule variances. Okay? Another language that you may get is CPI and SPI have an impact on the EAC. All right? So I know we spent some time on it, but it's worth having this language for one or two questions that you may encounter. You never know when you're going to come across a question on this. Okay. So let me just save this somehow. And you guys may want to take a screenshot if that works better for you. All right. Thank you, Donna. I'm glad it helps. You know, just take a screenshot, save this, and then you watch the video again, and then just watch it over and over again, you know. All right. So with that said, we are done with not TCPI, EAC, I wish. I'm wishing and hoping we're done with, no, we still got to face that beast. So let's go back to our little drawing board here. It says, what would the TCPI be in this instance? So let's address question 1, where it's talking about the TCPI. For that reason, I have to get that strike through off so that we can see it clearly. Okay. So let us solve this very quickly. So basically, we're going to find the TCPI based on the EAC. And the formula to find the TCPI based on the EAC is EAC, what am I saying? TCPI, beg your pardon. TCPI equals the budget at completion minus the actual cost divided by the estimate at completion. Oh, no. Sorry, brain freeze. brain freeze. I'm sorry. It's been a long day, right? Minus EV divided by EAC minus AC. All right. Now you can think of this formula as TCPI based on the, I told you it's been a long day, based on the EAC. In other words, work remaining divided by the funds remaining. Always remember that's what you're doing. That's the summary. So if we apply this, we get TCPI is equal to 100K minus the earned value of 30K. Okay, this piece right here, just to tell you, this piece right here is so helpful because we see BAC minus EV in a number of places. Okay, so that is 100K in dollars minus 30K in dollars, of course, divided by the EAC. So what was the EAC we got in this instance if your cost performance continues like this? Do you guys remember what we got? I think the number was 133K. So we're going to have to use 133 as the EAC. So what, oops, come back. So what we would do is put 133 here minus the actual cost, which was 40, and that would give us 70K divided by 93K, roughly. Or was it 0.33? I think it was 0.33. Okay. So if you do that, using the 133K, you will get what? 0.75, I believe. Did you guys get 0.75? And indeed, I should put 0.33 there. So I'm really sorry for anyone who is lost at this time. It just means we need to do more work, you know, and watch the video again and come back with a vengeance. So the answer is 0.75. That's the TCPI for this. Okay, did everyone get that? So Donna got 0.75. Good. All right. So that is the first TCPI question. And the second one is going to be 0.752. Good. PMI typically make it a double, 2 at the end. Okay. And last but not least, we have, if your original estimate is flawed and you run a new bottom-up ETC of 95K, so our EAC in the case of the 95K was what? So your brand new bottom-up ETC plus your AC gave you 135, right? So if we change this problem to accommodate that, so we're now on this one. If you're following along, we're now on number 4. Let me get rid of these so you're not confused. So we're going to modify this to solve this final TCPI problem. So we're going to have 135. Okay. And that's going to be 70K divided by 95K. The dollars will cancel and we'll end up with what? What did you guys get for that final one? 0.7368. 0.7368. All right. So you get 0.7368, and then we can round this up to 0.7 what? 4? 0.74. So we can round it up to 0.74 if you will. Okay, or 0.737, whichever one. So let's take a look at everything together. Let me clear the screen and let's take a look at all of the solutions. So if you wanted to just save it, here are all the answers together. I didn't just want to show you PowerPoint slides. I actually wanted to solve it with you. And that is how we would have solved it. The final one is kind of hidden. So let me show it on this page. Okay. So those are all the answers. All right. Do you have questions about any of these EACs earn value equations. Thank you, Jan. I'm really hoping you guys take away the essence of what it is. One more thing I would like to do, and I know our time is pretty much up. We've only got 11 minutes left. For all it's worth, for those folks who may not have seen my how to memorize the formulas, I want to show you very quick. You can memorize the earn value formulas like this. So just remember South Carolina, South Carolina. Remember the acronym someone else's problem, where you have an E, someone else's problem, someone else's problem. And just remember, children eat a lot. Some children. If you remember that, and you remember that the earn value is king, earn value always comes first. So in all of these formulas, earn value comes first. Where we have the indices like the SPI and the CPI, we have division. Where we have the variances like SV and CV, we have subtraction. And just remember planned value, where we have the schedule. You see, the schedule and the plan, that comes together. Again, the schedule and the plan. And then the actual cost, wherever you have the word cost. Another way of remembering this is PAPA, or just remember your friend Phil's initials, PAPA. South Carolina, South Carolina, PAPA. And the little piggy that cried, ee, well, it's we, but ee all the way home. If you remember those, and you remember that earned value comes first, because earned value is king. Earned value wears a crown and looks goofy on many occasions. If you remember that earned value comes first, earned value is king. If you remember this, those formulas become very, 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 very straightforward. And then you need to remember, when we're talking about the indices, anything less than 1 is unfavorable. So you need to know that greater than 1, equal to 1, and less than 1 mean different things, you know, for all of these. So greater than 1 means you are ahead of schedule. Equal to 1 means you are on schedule. Less than 1 means you are behind schedule. Okay? In terms of the cost, greater than 1 means you are under budget. Equal to 1 means you're on budget, and less than 1 means you are over budget. So these are going to help you answer questions on the exam. When it comes to the variances, greater than 0 in terms of schedule means you are ahead. Equal to 0 means you are on schedule, and less than 0 means you are behind schedule. For the CV, greater than 0 means you are under budget. Equal to 0 means you are on budget, and less than 0 means you are over budget. In other words, like negative numbers. So if you can get this down, you will be able to answer a number of questions on the PMP exam successfully. All right. And with that, my friends, we have come to the end of the cost management section. You guys answered a lot more questions than you even know. And I actually have about 15 other questions, which I would have loved to ask you, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I am going to give you a fun little takeaway quiz for you to play with. So if you can play with this quiz, I think it will give you a good run for your time. So you might just want to take down this URL. Actually, let me just copy and paste it in. That's probably what I should do. All right, so I'm going to copy and paste in this URL for you. Another tiny URL as usual. There you go. Oh, definitely. Now, before you hop off, my friends, we've got how many minutes? 6. So please give me the 6 minutes. I want to just walk through the logic of the data flows. The session will not be complete without the data flows. So this won't take too long, I promise. I'll be very quick with it. I'll let you get off right on the dot. Okay. So let's get into the data flows. All right, here we go. All right, so welcome to the data flow section. Let's start off with our usual relationships between develop project management plan and the subsidiary planning process for this knowledge area. The project management plan is used as an input, as usual, to many, in fact, all the processes in this knowledge area. So estimate cost uses the project management plan, which contains the cost management plan, and so does control cost. Now, another relationship that you want to remember is that subliminally, the cost baseline becomes part of the project management plan. So this one right here that I'm showing you, just showing you that from determined budget, you get the cost baseline, and you need to remember that becomes part of your project management plan and relevant to the knowledge area. Now, from determined budget, there's a relationship, your project funding requirement, that becomes part of what you see in control cost. Now, if you go to the PMBOK guide, to that page where we have control cost, 7.4 and figure 7-10 on page 257, you see your project funding requirements, that is number 3. So that is a significant input to control cost, project funding requirements. And then you have direct and manage project work, as usual, fueling anything in monitoring and controlling outside of integration with work performance data. And then in turn, you have control cost given work performance information and cost forecasts, giving that to monitor and control project work. Okay, this relationship is going to help you cement the understanding of cost forecasts contributing to the work performance report ultimately. Another interrelationship with integration happens when control cost could give change requests, which goes to perform integrated change control. Another interrelationship occurs between the unseen procurement management knowledge area, where we have conduct procurements given agreements to determine budget. Now, again, if you open up your PMBOK guide and look for where agreements are in terms of determine budget, 7.2, let's go there. You'll see that it's item 4 under 7.2, which is on page 240. So if you take a look there, you can see, no, not page 240, I beg your pardon. Page, it's not 7.2, 7.3, page 248. All right, there we go. So you can see agreement is number 4. figure 7-6. So this one right here, that interrelationship from the conduct procurement process in the world of the buyer. This is where you need to watch this again to really get this. But conduct procurement gives agreement in the case of an external customer, and that's that. And that took us to this, and that completes our review of the data flow. And you are free from your friend Phil. Just 1 minute, but I was able to get you out on time tonight. Thank you all very much. I hope you have a lovely night. I'm going to chill back and answer any questions you may have. I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll take your questions offline. Thank you all very much. Speak to you again soon.